All right, this video is to help you with two of the hardest problems in your Classkick assignment. So if you have not watched the videos, the video notes for this unit, then I highly suggest that you watch those first, because there is where I explain how to solve like the easier ones. Like for examples 1, 2, 3, I do examples like those. So it's very important that you understand how to do the easy ones first before you try to solve the harder ones, or you're gonna get stressed out. So in its learning, if you go to week 5, you'll see the resources that you need to be able to complete this Classkick assignment. So the first thing that you need is the formulas. So once you click on that document, it'll give you this page right here where I have all the formulas. You can print it out, you can copy it, you can take a picture with your phone, whatever works best for you. But you do need those formulas for pretty much the rest of the school year. So for the next weeks, we'll be using just this formula, surface area and volume. So for this week and next week, we are focusing just on surface area. So you will be using the formulas for L, which is lateral surface area, and S, which is total surface area. So lateral surface area is just the surface area of the lateral sides, not the bases. S is the total surface area, so that's where we're adding the lateral plus the two bases, for example, of a prism, right? Or right here's lateral plus the area of the base for a pyramid. So for this next 2 weeks, don't worry about that last formula, that's volume. We're only using the first two. So on this week's assignment, make sure first you watch those 2 videos. They show you how to do the easier ones so that you don't struggle too much. And then watch this video. So if you've already watched those 2 videos, then you can watch this one. If not, pause this video, watch those 2, and then come back to this one. All right, so on those first 2 videos, I do explain how to do some of this ones, and I do talk about the formulas that we use. But there is one blank that is gonna change every time because you have different shapes. So the B, capital B, stands for area of the base. So a lot of students always get this one's confused because they think that, they think that B is the base, but it's not. B is area of the base. So it's very important that you remember that. So this B right here stands for area of the base, not base, area of the base. So on number 1 on your Classkick assignment, it says use green sides of the bases. So the bases are rectangles. So the formula that you would use to get this blank is the formula for the area of a rectangle, which is base times height. Lowercase b is base, uppercase b is area of the base. So make sure you understand the difference between those two. So the base of the green square or rectangle, sorry, would be 8. The height would be 10, so 8 times 10 would be 80. So you would type your answer in right there. 2, there's a formula for a cube. You can look it up in your formula sheet. You can watch the video, the first video where I work out examples for cubes. This one's also a prism. So I'm using this formulas right here for a prism. But remember, the L and the S is going to stay the same for prisms. But for this area of the base, it changes depending on what your base is. So this time, since it is called a triangular prism, that means my bases are triangles. And so the formula that I'm using for the area of the base would be base times height divided by 2. So it changes. That one blank is always going to have a different formula depending on what shape your base is. So number 4, equilateral triangle prism. Again, it's a triangular prism. That means my bases are triangles. So this formula would again be base times height divided by 2. Since it's a prism, you continue to use the same formulas for prisms. I'm going to come back and do this one because that is one of the harder ones. So I'm going to solve this one entirely. But first, just to continue helping you with this ones, again, area of the base changes depending on your base. Hexagonal prism, because my bases are hexagons. So formula for the area of a hexagon, N times S times A divided by 2. Remember, N is the number of sides, that will be 6. S is the side length, that would be 4. A is the apothem, which you're gonna have to solve for. You can go back and look at week 2. That's where I showed you guys how to do that. Here we go for isosceles trapezoidal prism. It's a trapezoid. My bases are trapezoids. So this time for the area of the base, you use the formula for a trapezoid, area of a trapezoid, which is height times the sum of the two bases divided by 2. Again, the L and the S, you continue to use the same formula because they're all prisms. Right, so the same is true for pyramids. So here's 4 more problems that are all pyramids. So now since I have pyramids, now I'm using a different formula for L and S. Here are my formulas for pyramids. So anytime you have pyramids, you're gonna use these 2 equations right here. The cursive L stands for lateral. I explained in the first video what that is. Or slanted height, I'm sorry, I was confusing the capital L. So the capital L is lateral surface area. The lowercase cursive L is slant height. So in video notes, I explain what that is. So you're using those 2 formulas. And again, the area of the base formula is gonna change depending on what type of base you have. So be really careful when you're looking at that. So here you use the formula for the area of a square because the base is a square. Here, the area of a pentagon, which is a polygon, NSA divided by 2. Here again, your base is a square, so again, you use the formula for the base, and for the square, base times height. Something here, base times height. And then the last one, same thing, is again, is a square, so formula base times height. Okay, so I'm gonna work out number 4 for pyramids and number 4 for prisms. So first, I'm gonna do this one right here. Number 4. So this is prisms. This is one of the harder ones, so please make sure you watch the first videos, the video notes first. All right, so for this one, I have 2 H's. One H says height of the base. The other ones is just a regular height. So the regular height, it's the height of the prism. So the bases are the front and the back side. So that means that the height of it is this distance between those 2 bases, which is 15. This is the height because it's like if the prism is laying down, if you were to stand it up on its base, the height would be 15. So here it's 15. P stands for perimeter of the base. So my base is that blue triangle. I want the perimeter of just one base. So all of them are 8. This right here is 8. That means this one has to be 8. So 8 plus 8 plus 8. That's 8 times 3. That's 24. And then for B, this is area of the base. So I told you guys we're using this formula. Base of my triangle times the height of that triangle, which I'm missing, divided by 2. So that's why over here in the very first blank, they're asking me for the height of the base because it's missing and I have to solve for it. So to solve for that, this is the height, this dotted line right here. I'm going to create a right triangle. This is a right triangle right there. And so now I can use Pythagorean theorem to solve for the height. So A is gonna be half of 8, which is 4. B is my height that I'm looking for, so H. C is the 8. So I'm solving this to be able to find the height. So 4 squared is 16. 8 squared is 64. Subtract 16 from both sides. 64 minus 16. It's gonna give you 48. And then you take the square root and it's gonna give you a decimal. So anytime it gives you a decimal, you have to round to the nearest 100. So the square root of 48 gives me 6.93 once you round. So that's the height of the base. And so now you can plug it into your formula for the area of the base. So for this one, the B, the base of my triangle is right here is 8. The height of that triangle, I just figured out, is 6.93, and then divide it by 2. So I'm gonna multiply 6.93 times 8, and then divide it by 2. And that gives me 27.72. Okay, and then for L, that's lateral surface area, then you just go back to your formula sheet for a prism. Right here, it's P times H for a prism. So right here on my Classkick, P times H, so 24 times 15. That's the height of the prism, so make sure you're using this one right here. 24 times 15. When you multiply those, it gives you 360. And then the S, that's the total surface area, so that's gonna have to include my two bases, my two triangles. So it's gonna be L plus the area of the two bases, so L plus 2B. So here we go, Classkick. You're gonna have the formula for the total surface area, L plus 2B. So L is my 360 plus 2 times B, which is 27.72. And then once you do that, it'll give you the answer. So just multiply that in your calculator. 360 plus 2 times 27.72. And that should give you your answer. One of the harder ones, just because we had to solve for the height of the base. Otherwise, it would have been easier. All right, and then I'm also doing number 4 on the last page. Or pyramids. So this one right here. Again, it's just a little bit harder because you have to solve for the L. The L, the cursive L is not given to you like it is on the other pictures. Right, so the L on the first one is the 12, is the slanted height from the top of the pyramid down through the side. Here it's 17, the cursive L. Here is 22, but number 4, I'm missing the L. So you gotta solve for it. And so you solve for it just like we did on the previous example, where I had to make a little right triangle to be able to solve for that. So there's my little right triangle, A, B, and C. So A is gonna be the 21. B is not 40, I only want half of it. So B is 20. And then C is that L that I'm trying to find. So first, 21 squared, that's 21 times 21. That gives you 441. 20 squared, that gives you 400. So now you add them up and you get 841. And when you take the square root, you get a decimal, let me see. Oh, you get 29. So here, cursive L is 29. And then just use your formulas to find the rest of the information that you need. Again, so if you have not watched the video notes, watch those. They're in its learning, along with this video, obviously. Watch those first so that you can do the other problems if you still don't understand.